The Hoosier sports world is on fire right now. Football teams 10-0, women's basketball 2-0, volleyball, men's soccer about to get going in the NCAA tournament around the corner here. Darian DeVries has this thing humming through two games. Everything that we thought coming into the season has improved by leaps and bounds. The computers right
Mm.
now have Indiana as the top 25 team in the country. The Hoosiers are fun. The Hoosiers are exciting. The three-pointers are flying. The free throws are going in. The vibes are immaculate. How good is this team? Matt and I are going to talk about IU's lopsided 100-77 win over Marquette. The Hoosiers are 2-0 with non-conference games against Kansas State, Louisville, and Kentucky looming. We're going to talk about this IU men's basketball team and so much more here on episode 356 of the Hoosier Sound, where we read the official podcast of Indiana HQ, recording this edition of the Hoosier Sound on Monday, November 10th, 2025. I'm your host, Nithin Krishnan. Here with me is my normal co-host, Matt Lukens. Folks, if you're looking for football, we have a different episode about the big win over Penn State and the consequences and the ramifications and our emotions coming out of that one. We wanted to split it up. We're talking men's basketball here on this episode today. Marquette, Indiana, United Center, neutral site. Crowd was hopping, the threes were flying. Matt, we'll talk about big picture a little bit later. Talk to me about Indiana's big win over Marquette, a statement from Darian DeVries in his second game as IU's head coach.
I mean, I of many things I have seen as an IU fan, this is among the most surprising early season outcomes that I can remember because I came in this game thinking, oh, they're playing Shaka Smart on a neutral court in the second game of the season with a roster of entirely new guys, and only two of these guys have ever played together.
Yeah,
And yeah, we played in Puerto Rico against super mega bet.
yeah, yep. And
And yeah,
Baylor.
we played Baylor in an exhibition game. That looked pretty good. But how good is Baylor?
This is the real
And
thing
yeah,
about
we
this.
played Alabama A&M, but like it's
Come
Alabama
on.
A&M.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here, I'm like, all right, how for real? This how for real is this team?
Hello.
Spoiler alert,
Hello.
this team is for real. By the way, I'm starting this out. I tweeted yesterday. Crimson Cast liked it. A couple other people liked it. Are we sure Tucker DeVries isn't an All American? Like, are
Ooh.
we are we certain that he's not going to be
Ooh.
a second or first team guy? Like, are we
Eee.
ready? Not ready to talk about that? Because
Active scoring
I think
leader
we
in
need
Division One.
active scoring leader in Division One. Basically, single handedly put a knife to Marquette's throat in the first half.
Whew.
Um,
Yeah, serious.
He just does everything on offense. But I mean, this team is so dynamic on offense, and I think has a chance to get even more dynamic. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later when we talk about some big picture stuff. But I mean, talk about. I mean,
Man.
we ran modern offense under Tom Crean. We ran some complicated stuff under Tom Crean. I don't think I've seen an offense at IU since I've been a fan that is as cutting edge as what DeVries runs. The 5 out offense, the everybody is handling the ball, whether it's Reed or it's uh Wilkerson
Oh my
or it's
gosh. Enright.
DeVries or it's Enright or it's
Whoever.
Connerway or Josiah Miles, whoever it is, everybody's handling the ball. Everybody's looking to shoot. It doesn't matter who it is. You get an open shot, you take it.
Yep.
Um, Super comfortable shooters offense, by the way. Um, you have the passing is insane.
Oh,
They share the ball like
so good.
they have to. or they won't play, which I think is actually probably the case. If they
And
don't test well, they don't
some of that is
play.
also instincts, right? Like you have to have that sort of in your
Yeah.
DNA a little bit, don't you?
Yep. Yeah, this team just shares the rock, which is awesome to watch. And then on top of that, they kind of play frisky defense, which I wasn't expecting them to because I get a lot of these guys are mid-major guys coming up, aren't the most athletic dudes. Josiah Miles is crazy athletic, but most of
Yeah.
these guys aren't super crazy athletes. Um, and they just try super hard on every single possession. I think I'm falling in love with this basketball team with
Easy to
every
watch.
second that I watch them.
They're easy to watch. They're fun to watch. They're entertaining. They play together. Name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back, not the number on the back of the jersey. Like they're doing all the right things. And I think some of this stuff I think some of this stuff is just built into the DNA, into the instincts of these players. Where you talk about passing, you talk about defense, like the communication, the organization, um, making sure people are in the right spot. They're carrying out their responsibility. They're not stepping on their teammates' toes. They're not, doing something they're not supposed to do, leading to a breakdown. The fouling is a problem. Sure, you got to stay on the court, no question. Indiana's flawed. They're not flawless, but they're playing for each other. They're doing the right things on the court. They're talking. They're playing with the right spirit, the right mentality, the right attitude. And they're 2-0. And again, like you and I were talking before we hit record, page 1 of the Darian DeVries playbook, chapter 1 of his novel is whatever you think of me preseason as a team, as a coach, all I'm going to do is exceed
Yeah,
those expectations. All I'm going to do is
yeah,
exceed those expectations. Justin Albers tweeted this out around the time DeVries was hired, but basically DeVries, during his time as a head coach at Drake in West Virginia over the last 5 years, beat preseason expectations on Ken Palm by 53. There was even a season where Ken Palm had him 155 preseason, and he finished like 53. Like he beat him in 100
yeah.
spots. On average, the DeVries teams at Drake in West Virginia over the last 5 years exceeded expectations by 50 points. Indiana, in the same time frame, even though they won an NCAA tournament game against Wyoming and they won an NCAA tournament game against Kent State, in the previous 5 years had fallen short of expectations by an average of 20 points. So on average,
Yeah.
if you ranked Indiana X, IU would finish 20 spots worse than what you ranked them as. In a nutshell, this is what Darren DeVries does. Whatever you think as far as his team before the season starts, they got shortcomings, they got weaknesses, they don't do this on offense, they don't do this on defense, they don't do this, whatever. He beats those expectations preseason. And Indiana already, after starting 40th in the country preseason on Ken Palm, is up to 21. They've already moved up
Yeah.
19 spots in the top clump of college basketball. Like, it's easier to move from 100 to 60 than it is to move from 40 to 21. You're passing up
Hmm.
teams that are also good, just as good as you. In that same conversation about how good they are, we've said this before, Matt. Like, you don't have to win every game. You don't have to win every game by
No.
20 or whatever. But if you lose, keep it close, keep it interesting. Indiana did win comfortably against the Marquette Golden Eagles. Matt, how about 14 of 28 from three? How about 20 of 24 from the free throw line? 50% shooting, 50% from three, 83% from the free throw line, 27 assists to 8 turnovers. I
It's
think you're
beautiful.
crying. Are you crying, Matt? Are you crying tears
I
of joy? What is this?
yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
offense,
This is
Matt.
my
Come on.
it's it's so beautiful. I actually did think about crying there for a second when you started bringing this stuff. Like in the 8 years that we have watched
The fans knew what
atrocious
they were looking
offense.
at. They knew what they were watching.
I mean, no one pretends to say that Indiana fans you know,
We
don't
we
know ball.
They're
We know
crazy,
ball.
but
We know
they're
ball.
crazy. They got screw loose. They got
We
screw
do got a
loose.
screw loose, but we all know ball. Like just across the entire fan base, we know ball, and we know what we're seeing. And they've tried to gaslight us for 8 years that it's it doesn't you don't need to have a modern offense. We win through the big, and it's all about defense. You gotta win through defense.
Get them over the hump.
This team can play good offense and can play decent defense. By the way, they just
Yeah.
gotta stop reaching this team.
Yeah. Well,
But and some early season stuff. But that's besides the point. Like modern offense is fun to watch. I know, whether it's guard on guard screens, it's guys ghosting screens and the cutting and the
yep.
five. We're bringing everybody to the 3 point line and running five out, and you have Reed Bailey when he's not getting fouls every three possessions. Diving directly at the rim. You know, running lob plays off of back
Ooh.
doors and just good movement all around. A ball that doesn't want to stick in one spot and wants to move and jump and pass and float from one side of the court to the other. You got shooters, you got DeVries running,
Ah, Tucker.
just
Woo.
basically falling out of bounds, hitting 3 pointers because he's got such good body control and shooter's touch and rhythm. This
Damn
team's
right
so
he
fun to
does.
watch. They're
Style
so
of
fun
play.
to watch.
Style
And
of play
and
matters.
and style of play matters. They're fun to watch. They're easy to root for. And I still don't think they're anywhere close to their ceiling because they're missing 5 scholarship players. Maybe
Good
four
ones.
because
I
you're going to
mean,
be,
yeah, we'll see
yeah,
about Achimovich, but at least the group of Nick Dorn, Josh Harris, Alexa Ristich, Jason Drake.
Jason Drake.
We have not seen them play yet for Indiana as far as either of these first two games are concerned. Dorn and Drake did not play in Puerto Rico either, and they have
Yeah,
game. They can play. I don't
yeah,
know if it's at a
yeah.
all conference level or whatever. Like they can play. They're capable D1 players that Darian DeVries will be able to add to his rotation, hopefully at some point here. I don't know anything more than you all know about the availability of those guys. We did know that Alexa Ristich was an impactful player for Indiana in Puerto Rico. He was plus 25 in those two big games against Mega Super Bet to the point where he was one of the top Hoosiers as far as plus minus concerned, average 20 minutes a game or so, 19, 20 minutes a game. He can play, and he's obviously a true freshman. Of course, in this era where Europeans are frequently coming over into college basketball and playing. Um,
Invading.
yeah, Indiana looks great. The headliners, I think, are two guys, Matt Tucker DeVries and Lamar Wilkerson. Tucker DeVries in the first half against Marquette was unconscious. And then
Yep.
you force Marquette to cover him, shade over their coverage to him. Lamar Wilkerson's like, okay, thank you, folks. Appreciate your assistance here. I'll go
Mm.
off, King, and score a bunch. And not only did he score a bunch, Lamar Wilkerson did 8 assists. Are you kidding me? If Tucker
I'm
DeVries
going to
and
say
Lamar
something in a
Wilkerson,
minute.
if Tucker DeVries and
Yeah.
Lamar Wilkerson are not only scoring, but they're rebounding, they're sharing the basketball, they're defending, they're facilitating the offense. Lamar Wilkerson had 2 steals and a block shot against Marquette. He didn't turn the ball over once. I don't know if I care about the turnover thing too much. I kind of want some of these Indiana players to I want them to value the ball, but I don't want them to hold back. I don't want them to be conservative. I want them to run up and down the floor, play aggressive, play with anticipation. If that means turn it over a few times, so be it. Tucker DeVries and Lamar Wilkerson are the headliners, Matt. I'll admit it. I'll raise my hand. I underrated both of them coming into the season, and I really liked both of them. Talk to me about Tucker DeVries and almost even more importantly, Lamar Wilkerson here. It's been 2 games, but wow, what a performance so far.
I mean, just an insane performance for both of them. But one that I think we're going to be accustomed to watching. Tucker's one of the best players in the country. I think I said that going into the season, and I stand by that. And I think Lamar Wilkerson, for the first time in his career, is playing with some help.
Yep. Sam Houston State.
He's playing with some help. He's playing around players that are better than him. And he's going into the gym. DeVries has talked about this multiple times. He's just a gym rat, but he's in and around a culture that loves basketball just as much as he does, right? And appreciates basketball just as much as he
Doesn't
does. Like,
hurt.
brings it makes me want to cry because like
Doesn't
this
hurt.
guy grows up loving the game. He's now in the place where the game is loved the most,
And
right?
how
And
much have we talked about watching these dynamic scoring guards at the mid-major level come into Assembly Hall and have big games where they give you nightmares, whether you're Tom Creed
year
or Archie
after
Miller
year,
or Mike Woodson. We see these scoring guards come into Assembly Hall, light Indiana up for 5 threes, light
yeah,
Indiana up for they don't win because Indiana ends up beating every one of those teams except for Archie against Indiana State. But what we do remember seeing are those guards that just they look so comfortable and so natural, playing a free-flowing style out on the perimeter, keeping the defense off balance. That's what Lamar Wilkerson's doing.
yep,
And you can see the sweat, the anxiety on the face of Shaka Smart. And Shaka Smart's been around for a long time. And he's a damn good basketball coach. I don't know if I'd say he's like an elite, but he's been around, right? High major programs. He took VCU, got them to the Final Four. Um, you could see Shaka looking at this game going, we're down 20. And I figured out the Tucker DeVries problem, but now I only have 8 minutes to figure out the Lamar Wilkerson problem. What am I supposed to do here? And one thing I
mm,
noticed early in that Marquette game is that Darian DeVries, and then of course the players as an extension of the coach, they've done a really good job in keeping defenses off balance. Even going back to the Baylor exhibition, I really don't like referencing the exhibition. Let me talk just about Marquette. The shot selection that Indiana displayed for the first 10, 12 minutes of that game is nightmare fuel for coaches around the Big Ten.
mm,
It's going to give them so much stress when they try to prepare for Indiana. And Indiana's not going to win every game this year. Indiana's going to lose 10 games this year, for as far as I know, if you ask me. But like, just as far as what are we like, put yourself in the shoes of some of these Big Ten coaches, Steve Peichel, right? Um, Ben McCollum at Iowa, uh, Diebler
yeah,
at Ohio State, Izzo at Michigan State. Hey, I'm game planning against Indiana's offense. What am I taking away? Am I taking away Tucker DeVries? Well, sure. Here's Lamar Wilkerson. Am I taking away both?
yeah,
Well, now, hey, look, the rim opens up for Sam Alexis, who looks better than I could have ever imagined through 2 games. Oh, and then, if I'm
mm,
taking that away, Reed Bailey is going to operate in the high post, in the elbow, stretching the floor a little bit, moving the basketball, dribble handoffs, those accurate bounce passes. And if you take that away, well, here's Josiah Miles with athleticism that can really run rampant and make you uncomfortable. Oh, by the way, Tate Connerway out of the Sun Belt, where he won Conference Player of the Year at Troy. He can knock down the deep shot. He hit the clutch shot to beat Baylor in that exhibition game. Like, when you try to game plan for Indiana, Darren DeVries, and I remember watching this at Drake too. Obviously, you put
yep,
the mid-major disclaimer on it, but when you prepared for Darren DeVries' teams at Drake, what were you going to, it's like, you have the same question. If we take away Tucker DeVries at Drake, here's Connor Enright. If we take away Connor Enright, here's this other conference player here, Kevin Overton, I believe was at Drake. Like, here's
yeah,
this guy, he's going to give you a headache. This is the type of problem that Darren DeVries gives you as a head coach. And he's been here for 2 games at Indiana. Matt, I'm sitting here and I see an offense that is revolutionized. It's modern. It's developed now to where I think we've all wanted it in 2025.
yeah.
where, like, what's sort of the next step for this basketball team? What's sort of the next step for this offense? It's not perfect, it's not flawless. They're 2-0, but there are big games coming up. Where do you see sort of the next step here for Indiana? Where do you think they can get better? Because obviously they want to keep improving, even from a great 2 games so far.
The supporting cast has got to step up a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, this is a hard carry by two of the best players in the team. And I think you're going to get that most nights, right? These guys have gravity, these two guys,
Yeah.
right?
Big
And it's
time.
that's something I've talked about before. Um, when especially when Trace Jackson Davis was on the team, I was like, we
Yep.
need people to have gravity,
Yep.
right? Trace has gravity, but we need somebody to take some away from him. You can't guard both Lamar Wilkerson and DeVries at the same time. Like when they're running around and they're setting screens for each other, like you're getting put in situations you don't want to be in because you give these guys 10 shots from three, they're gonna make five of them,
Six?
four, five, six, right? Like these guys are incredible shooters, and you give them open looks, they're gonna hit them. Um, and that just opens up the floor for everybody else. Like I need a little bit more scoring out of Enright. I'd like to see Conaway, be more aggressive when he
Yeah.
has a chance to go to the rim because he's an elite finisher around the rim. And I would like to see a bunch of these guys put some threes on tape, whether it's Josiah Miles
Sure.
or Trent Sisley or Connerway or Enright. That's not a half court
Yep.
heave.
Yep.
I'd like to see them show a little bit of a presence and a half court offense to make teams a little bit more honest.
Yep.
And keep teams at home a little bit because teams are going to start trying to double Tucker, I think.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Um, and so you're going to get opportunities to hit shots or make plays. And I will say that the key to this is the ball doesn't stick. So I think as long as you're passing the ball, you don't really need a ton of shooters out there. I think that's it's a misconception people have. If you have two elite shooters that have this gravity and everybody else just shares the ball really well, there's not enough space for the defense to cover on that side of the court. So as long as the ball's not sticking, it's fine. It makes this team, it raises the ceiling of this team if they have other guys that can make those open shots. While Tucker and Lamar are creating all of these opportunities for them just by their sheer presence on the court. So that's something I'm looking for. And I think I was talking about alluding to this earlier. I think Indiana is going to get that. They got two guys that are going to come off the bench here that haven't played. That I think are going to fill that role. Nick Dorn was a very good shooter at Elon. And was somebody that the staff really prioritized in the transfer portal because of his shooting. And his just overall size and ability to play kind of the wing slash forward slash guard position. He's very versatile. And then same thing with Ristich, European prospect guys kind of come in. All these European guys can shoot from the jump that they get on campus because they've grown up, with elite skill development in Europe. That is what they are better than America at now at this point is getting these guys into basketball ready shape and basically training them as pros since they've been kids. And I really expect Ristich to come in and really be a dynamic player in this team, even as a freshman, just as a guy that can put, on tape, he can hit threes. He's big for his position. And again, a very versatile guy. I don't know how he's going to be on defense, but if you have Connerway up at the top of the key, causing as much chaos as he does, and these guys playing as hard as they do, I think the defense is going to be just good enough to win basketball games. His offense is going to be elite.
Yeah. No, I see it the same way too. I mean, man, talk about sort of the historic or at least a significant, putting it in context, beating a good team like Marquette by 23, scoring 100 points on a neutral site.
Something that's never been done, by the way, to a Shaka Smart team. No one has ever scored 100 points on a Shaka Smart team.
It's so telling. And again, the note that I dug up and posted on Indiana HQ last night was, you know, historically Indiana doesn't beat power conference teams, high major teams by 20 points away from Assembly
No,
Hall.
no, no, we don't.
Especially non-conference play, like you're talking about a win over Providence. And that's kind of an empty calorie win over Providence in the COVID Maui Invitational with Archie. Like that Providence team had problems, but I do remember like Trace and Race both had a very good game
They had an elite game
that
that game.
afternoon.
Yeah,
Back in '05, Indiana beat Kentucky by a lopsided margin in Indianapolis. Assembly Hall has its magic. We know that. Okay? You come into Assembly Hall, but we're talking about across the end of the Bob Knight tenure into Mike Davis, into Kelvin Sampson, into Tom Crean, into Archie, into Woodson. Indiana did what they did against Marquette only twice. If that, like you said, 100 points against a Shaka Smart team never happened before, right? Like, Matt, I went and looked, like,
yeah.
Big Ten teams who won lopsided games against other good opponents in non-conference play in recent years. Yet Ohio State beating Kentucky last year by 20. That was an Ohio State team with Diebler and Bruce Thornton last year that was so good until just letting go of the rope at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Michigan,
The wheels kind of fell off.
Dusty May, year one. They beat Xavier by
Yeah.
25 in the non-conference
Yeah.
game. November
I would take
27th.
I would take a Michigan season from last year.
Wisconsin last year beat Arizona by 15. That Badgers team could play a little bit last year. Obviously, they didn't have the
Hmm.
tournament run that they wanted, but Greg Gard, after a year or two where Wisconsin was really in the dumps, like he got them up and running and firing real quick
Yeah.
last season. So, ended up having a very, very good year across the board. The elite Fran McCaffrey teams, with Luca Garza, they put up some big non-conference wins. Matt Painter against teams like Duke and Gonzaga back in 2022 in that Maui run that they had.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. Okay, so um, Izzo beat Baylor by 24
Yep.
in a neutral game in 23. So like
They just beat Arkansas, but not by 20, but just beat Arkansas. Pretty good
again and
win.
again, I would have loved if Indiana won yesterday by a point. You know,
My expectations going into the year was I hope they make it a close game.
you
That
know,
was my
I'm watching
expectations.
that game and I'm like, oh, even during the game, I'm like, oh, hot start. Okay, you're up whatever, 10-7, you're 10-6, 14-8. I'm like, okay, Marquette's gonna fight back and we're gonna have the roller coaster swing.
Mm,
Marquette will go up five, and then Indiana will go up five, and then Marquette will go up five, and then at the end of the game, it's just gonna come down to which team executes better and makes their free throws and does the little details. And then Indiana won by 23. 100-77 was the final score. We're going to talk a little big picture here about Indiana men's basketball going into this 25-26 season. 2 games in, many, 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 many games to come. Big games too, whether it's non-conference or Big Ten play. Real quick, typically we talk about who won the week this past week in IU Sports. We talked about that during football. Folks, just real quick, to raise our platform up to the surface here. Again, if you enjoy our show, leave us a review. Tell a friend. Just shouting out our channels here. Share our links. That kind of support really helps us grow this podcast, the word of mouth around Bloomington, around America, around the world. If you like facts, if you like numbers, if you like people who are just giving you like it is without an agenda, without all sorts of misinformation and this swirling around and that swirling around rumors, this, that, whatever. We're not all about that, okay? Give us a
I like my
follow.
rumors.
Maybe some rumors.
Okay. Okay.
No
Let's not lie
lies.
to our people.
No
Let's not lie to our
lies.
people.
No
Let's just
lies.
not lie. Let's not
Maybe
lie.
rumors. Maybe rumors.
Some
Tell a friend. Share our links. That kind of support really helps us grow, reach more passionate IU fans. such as yourself. Yeah, portal rumors especially.
Porter
Really.
rumors, especially. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
mwah, chef kiss.
Man, good times. Um,
Sorry.
Big picture wise, again, Indiana started the season 40th in Ken Palm, but now we're up now this team's up to 21. Ken Palm has Indiana projected for a 21 and 10 season, 12 and 8 in Big Ten play. I would take that deal in a heartbeat, especially if you're telling me Indiana continues to play with this style of play. Just fun. You watch, you have a good time. You don't want to, stab your eyes out. Um, I think it's fair. It's a very competitive league, very intense league. Lots to sort of digest and dig into there. As you think about Darren DeVries, Matt, year one.
Hmm. Yeah.
Help some of the people here. Like if you're unfamiliar with Darian DeVries' game, as you think, Matt, about the different coaches around college basketball, whether they're coaching actively today or even in the past, when you think about the style of play Darian DeVries shows, who are some of the coaches that you feel like Darian DeVries sort of mimics, replicates when it comes to his style of play with that up and down offense, the 3-point shooting, the good free throw shooting? As you think about the different counter ACC Big East, old Pac 12 SEC, or even the Big Ten, who are some of the coaches that you see Darren DeVries kind of mimic or replicate or sort of share as far as the blueprint of the type of basketball, the vision for the basketball that he wants to be played at Indiana?
Well, I mean, the easy slam dunk layup softball pitch of an answer is Greg McDermott
Yeah,
at Creighton,
yeah,
right? I mean, he comes from that coaching tree,
yeah,
was a longtime assistant there.
yeah,
When you watch Creighton run offense, it's very similar stuff,
yeah,
but also not. I mean, Creighton loves their huge bigs that
yeah.
can also
Kalkbrenner,
spread the floor,
yeah,
Kalkbrenners
Tug McDermott.
and Doug. Yeah. Well, Doug McDermott reminds me a ton of Tucker.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
Like
Kalkbrenner
I
is
yeah, and Kalkbrenner is
huge,
different, right?
7 feet tall. Yeah.
And just yeah, when I think of Creighton, I think 7-footers down low and a bunch of shooters just sprinting around the guy. It's almost like Purdue like. Speaking of which, Matt Painter
Hmm. I could see that. What a
Matt
glowing
Painter's
review.
Matt Painter's offense when he doesn't have Edie. You go back and you think of those Carson Edwards teams,
Yeah,
right?
Travion Williams, Caleb
Travion
Swanigan,
Williams,
RIP.
Caleb Swanigan teams. A little some similarities in the way they use guards, not in
Jawan
the ways they
Johnson,
use
the Jawan
bigs at
Johnson,
all.
Robbie Hummel, Etwan Moore teams.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I just, but like, I mean, that's an easy, that's a it's not a one-to-one comparison. And
sure,
there's
sure,
really
sure.
not a serious
No,
one-to-one
there
comparison. The
isn't.
only one out there that's even close is Greg
Yeah.
McDermott. Because weirdly enough, every single coach has their flaws. And I think with Darren DeVries' teams, it's rebounding. He
Hmm.
doesn't really care about size. If you look across all of his teams, he doesn't mind giving up size as long as it's for speed and shooting ability,
Yeah.
right? He likes his teams to play fast. He likes to play his team free. He likes the guys to be able to put up shots and make shots. You know, the you don't need to rebound the ball if you're making the ball the first time you shoot it. And that's kind of Darren's, MO, or Coach DeVries' MO as far as that goes. Um, so if you're really looking for a similarity, I think a lot of the really, really fun Jim Larinaga Miami teams
Hmm.
where they play guys that don't have a ton of size and they play maybe one guy that can just really go rebound the ball and everybody else just tries their butt off and they make a ton of shots. Right? And they have fun, feisty guards. That's my that's
I
my
like
that's
that. I
my
like that a
that's
lot.
my 2 cents.
Wow. No, it definitely sort of makes you think as far as what Indiana's capable of.
But
Sort
like, but like the those Larinaga teams didn't run nearly as complicated an offense as what IU runs. Like IU runs like a very modern offense where everyone is moving, but
Yeah.
they're not even running a ton of plays. That's the thing. It's
No.
just guys playing off of each other and having an understanding of, okay, what happens in this situation on this,
Yeah.
you know, this ball screen or this, this if we ghost this here, what happens
Hmm.
if two guys go this guy this way? What happens if two guys go that way? What if we're caught in a middle screen? Whatever. Like the team plays and flows so well together. And
Yeah.
again, we haven't even seen them at full strength, so I'm really really excited to see what happens.
No, we haven't. I went through and I was like, okay, let's look back at college basketball last year. Okay, like what's a best case outcome for Indiana
Yeah,
if if this 3-point stuff, not even from a percentage standpoint, but just they continue getting good shots process wise from deep. They get to the free throw line, make their free throws. Um, they foul a lot, right? Indiana fouls a lot when
yeah.
on defense. You wanted to improve that, but just the way it is. They're not an elite rebounding team by any means. They're a good defensive rebounding team. Indiana is. Indiana does a good job finishing defensive possessions with a rebound
So far,
so far.
we
Um,
shall see what happens when they really give up size.
100%. Indiana is not a team that pays too much attention to grabbing offensive rebounds after missed shots because, like you said, you know,
He
what was
wants
the,
his
what
guys
was,
to make the
yeah,
shot.
yeah. Let's not
Yeah.
just find an open shot. Let's make the open shot. Something like that was your sentence. I like that. You know who in college basketball last year shared that type of statistical profile? You take threes, you make threes, you play with a decent tempo, you limit opponents taking threes. You do a good job, getting layups and dunks when you shoot twos, but you foul a lot. Um, who kind of shared that profile last year, Matt?
Was it Florida?
It was Auburn. You're very close. You're
Okay.
very close. You're very close. Um, Florida was a better team as far as like the rebounding aspect of the game is
Hmm.
concerned, and you
I mean,
can
they had
sort
the
of
best front court in the
you can
country.
sort of think about yeah, and Florida also played much
That was a really dumb
because I was
that was
thinking
a really
Florida
dumb answer
too,
by me.
especially when you think about the guys that they had there, Walter Clayton and co. Um, I was like, yeah, maybe, but
I could have
let's
guessed Auburn.
let's not. I mean, we're talking best case. Okay, we're talking best case. And Auburn obviously had Janai Broom. Indiana doesn't have Janai Broom. But like you're talking about
Yeah.
a team
I would like
that's
Janai Broom. Can he come back?
it's funny though, because when you look at Auburn, okay, they pressured you on defense. They
Yeah.
stretched out to the perimeter and they were like, we're not going to give you anything easy. We're going to foul you. We're going to foul the crap out of you. We're going to make you make free throws. We're going to make you make contested shots. There's no way
Yeah.
the officials are going to call 50 fouls over the course of a 40-minute game.
I mean, they can. They tried their
Yeah,
best.
you're right. My bad. My bad. You're right. Yeah. No, for sure. But in a nutshell, just when you look at the blueprint, when you look at this, so I like the Greg McDermott point you made. Obviously, the tutelage there, McDermott DeVries connection after DeVries being an assistant. I thought it was noteworthy that Scott Drew had a lot of praise for Darren DeVries after the exhibition game. Scott Drew's been around for many years. He knows what he's talking about. We talked about basketball. Said a lot of glowing words about Darren DeVries post game after the exhibition there, especially something like if the free throw percentage is going to be 100%, like whatever, they got the coach that they hired or whatever. I got to know more. I got to know what the special sauce is. Indiana's at 90% from the free throw line this season through 2 games. So as you watch the basketball here, there's a little Greg McDermott involved. There's a little Larinaga involved. I think there's maybe a little Dusty May involved, and as I said, a little bit of Bruce Pearl Auburn involved. But as you said, overall, the headline is Darren DeVries is one of one as far as the type of basketball that he has Indiana playing.
Mm.
But you can see the players carrying out the vision. I think that's something that everyone wants to make the Signetti comparison here, there, whatever. There is no comparison to Signetti. There will never be a comparison to Kurt Signetti in Indiana football, but I do like how Indiana's players, much like you saw Grace Berger and Mackenzie Holmes do and Sidney Parrish do with Terry Morin, carrying out the vision of the head coach to help win games.
Yes.
That's how you get to those unexpected 25, 27, 29 win seasons like Indiana did with Terry Morin a few years ago.
Mhm.
Chloe Moore McNeil, Grace Berger, Mackenzie Holmes carrying out the vision, carrying out the identity of the head coach. So I actually think, we were talking about, hey, who do you think uh Darian DeVries mimics his style of play after? I think there's actually a little bit of Terry Moore in Darian DeVries too, and we'll see if Indiana can get those successful Big Ten seasons where they win 20, 22, 24, 25 plus games over the course of the season. Matt, the next big non-conference game is Kansas State. Then on December 6th, Indiana has a neutral site game against Louisville. Then on December 13th, Indiana has a road game at Rupp Arena against the number one team in Ken Palm right now, the Kentucky Wildcats, as that rivalry is renewed. What are you going to have your eyes on here over the next over the three big non-conference games as we get through mid-December before Big Ten play starts? I think there actually is a road Minnesota game before Indiana plays Kentucky. But what are you going to have your eyes on as far as Indiana's non-conference superpower heavyweight games against Kansas State and then really cranking up the heat with Louisville and Kentucky?
Uh, Two things. Both of them have to do with defense. The defense,
Hmm.
actually. Um, our defense and how other defenses guard us. And so the first thing I'm looking for is with our defense through the first couple games, uh, is the hacking problem going to continue? A lot of cheap fouls, a lot of almost laziest fouls where guys aren't moving their feet well enough, or guys are just reaching at things that they just have no chance at getting. Just a lot of ticky tack fouls in the Marquette game, and there was a couple in the Alabama and A&M game. So um, does that some early season trying to get into shape sort of, frustration foul stuff, like, or is that like just going to be the team where they're going to
Yep.
just swipe at everything like Swiper the Fox from Dora the
Yep.
Explorer,
I like it.
and we're gonna get into foul trouble in a bunch of different games. I hope that the second case is
Yeah.
not necessarily what happens. The
For sure.
second thing is how defenses look at this film, opposing defenses look at this film that we put on tape
Yeah.
against Marquette, and what they try to take away. What they try to take
Hmm.
away, and how IU deals with that. Is it playing Tucker super physical like Marquette did in the second half and letting Lamar Wilkerson get more space? Is it keying in on Lamar Wilkerson and hoping that Tucker, who's a very streaky shooter,
Yeah.
has one of those nights, off
Yep.
nights, right? And then seeing what IU does from that.
Yep.
Is it keying in on both of them at the same time and
Yep.
just saying, I don't think Connerway, Enright, and Reed Bailey, or if it's Sam Alexis, could
Oh
beat
yeah.
us. Let's read
Yep.
it, right? So what are they going to do? How are they going to do that?
Yep.
Are they going to start pressing us more because we're not
Hmm.
a necessarily fast and athletic team? So they're going to get into our face, and we had a 10-second
Shaka Smart
violation.
tried to press. I mean, more from like the backcourt standpoint, but man, wow, we
Yeah,
tore that up real quick.
we did tear that up real quick, but maybe this Marquette team isn't as good as we thought they were going to be,
Yeah,
and other
could
teams that
be
are more athletic and quicker and faster and number one overall in Ken Palm might end up terrorizing us in
Mark
in
Pope.
in some ways. So um that's what I'm really keying in on
Yeah,
is how our defense improves. Because
yep,
I think the offense can definitely improve, but I think it's at a point where it's like that's not necessarily the should be the core focus. The defense is something that can always improve. Um,
yeah.
and how they find ways to stop fouling so that they can have the best offensive players on the floor
Yeah.
at the same time. And the second thing, to finish my second point was,
Mhm.
um, when we're playing offense and how we play offense, how watching how other teams are reading what we're doing and seeing what we're doing and reacting to it, and seeing what how they can attack us or make us feel uncomfortable. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Actually, the point that you made, I think in the middle there is the one I really want to hammer along. Like, what happens when the threes don't fall, right? When you're not shooting
Mm, mm, mm,
45%.
mm,
That to
mm.
me is going to be a major factor.
Or maybe
How
that just
does,
never happens.
yeah, I mean, there's going to be a game where Indiana's 2 of 17 from three. And then what
It has to,
happens?
yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
just the way the math works.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
unrealistic if you think, it's going to be 40,
We're never
45,
missing a
50%.
three again. We're going
Especially like
100% for the
every
rest
game.
of time.
Like maybe you tell me that the average for the season is 40%. That would be really high, but I can sort of see it. Um, when you talk about like within, each game, Indiana's not going to be hitting 40% of their threes every game. So when that happens, like what's the adjustment? Last year in power conference basketball, the highest 3-point percentage in the country was Houston at 39.4. Even if you tell me that Indiana is a 39% 3-point shooting team, that immediately indicates that there are going to be games where they shoot 2 of 17 from three. So, how do you adjust? How do you adapt? How do you respond to that? The Sam Alexis Reed Bailey question, I'm going to be excited to see what the answer is there. Can they keep improving? Is it Trent Sisley who steps up? He had 15 against Marquette, was very noticeable, was very impressive in his minutes. Very curious to see how this front court sort of shapes up as the year goes on. Kentucky Louisville, by the way, Tuesday night, 8 Eastern, ESPN. You get a look at both of the heavyweight teams on Indiana's non-conference schedule still to come. If you're interested in tuning into that one, the game is at Yum Center in Louisville. So you can even head there
Yeah,
if you want. Catch it in person if you're down in southern Indiana. So should be a fun one. I'll definitely be tuning in. Kentucky Louisville Tuesday night. Um, Matt and I are going to wrap this up with a little rapid fire Big Ten perspective. But first, just a quick social media shout out again to just raise our channels back up to the surface. If you enjoy our show, leave us a review, tell a friend, share our links. That kind of support really helps us grow this podcast, reach more passionate
mhm.
IU fans such as yourself. Matt, on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, we're the Hoosier Sound and Indiana HQ. On Instagram, we're not Indiana HQ, but what are we?
Indiana.HQ.
You can find us there. Plenty of content, plenty of, if we see stories that we like, we'll share them along. Different notes, stats, nuggets, observations, all the stuff over on Indiana HQ as well as at the Hoosier Sound. All right, Matt. We watched 2 games. Everyone's pretty much played 1 or 2 or 3 games as far as the Big Ten is concerned. One word answers, Matt.
Yeah,
One
I'll
word
try my best.
answers. All right.
Yep,
Rest of season. Is Purdue better or worse than Indiana?
better,
Is Michigan better or worse than Indiana?
better,
Is Illinois better or worse than Indiana?
hmm, better,
I agree with you so far. 3 for 3. Is UCLA better or worse than Indiana?
worse.
I'm going better. I'm going better.
I don't believe in that UCLA team at all.
Is Michigan State better or worse than Indiana rest of the season?
Worse,
I'm gonna go better. And this is
worse.
just a testament to the quality of the league more than anything.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
true.
I mean, Michigan State beat Arkansas. Indiana beat Marquette, and that was neutral. Michigan State was home. I mean, I'm definitely going to keep a close eye on both of those teams.
Worse.
Michigan State plays
Early season Calipari teams are
and
jokes. I
Michigan
don't
State will
believe
also play Kentucky like Indiana does, so that'll be fun to get an eye
that.
on there.
That'd be a good comparison. Yes.
How about first year coach Ben McCollum at Iowa? Are his Hawkeyes rest of the season better or worse than Indiana?
Worse with an asterisk.
Hmm.
I think they're gonna be feisty,
Yeah, I
feisty,
think they're a
feisty,
tournament.
feisty.
I think they're a tournament team.
I think they're a tournament lock. They're gonna make the tournament somehow, some way. Sturts is so good.
I think Iowa's better. I think it's by a hair. I think Iowa's better by a hair.
Nah,
Narrowly. I'm gonna give it to them. I'm gonna give it to them. Is Oregon better or worse than Indiana rest of the season?
they're really not healthy right now.
Yeah, correct.
So I think better. But
Yeah, you're right. You're banged up.
Dana Dana Altman teams are weird.
Yeah, I mean, you know what though? Shellstad and Biddle both played against Rice and it was a 4-point win. I'm gonna say Indiana's better. Let's say
They're
Indiana's better
just
than Oregon the rest of the season.
they're not healthy yet. They got a Chinese kid coming in that's gonna be really good.
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Wei Lin? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's off and running as far as the season's concerned. Any one of these teams better than Indiana, Matt? USC, Ohio State, Nebraska, Washington, Maryland, rest of season.
Washington maybe
Yeah.
if they got a kid coming in from Europe who's gonna start
Yeah,
playing
Hans
in the
Steinbeck. Oh, no, are you talking about
Hun
somebody else? Because Hans
there's
Steinbeck's already
an
playing.
no, there's another guy coming in from Europe. He's gonna be a front court player.
Okay. I have to look
Who
that up
will
later.
join them after winter break. So in
Hmm.
January, he's gonna be eligible for second semester.
Super.
Watch out. That guy is going to be very multidimensional uh, from the big spot.
I like that. I like that a
So
lot.
I kind of like Washington to take a while to kind of get
Sure.
together as a team and then be pretty feisty come the end of Big Ten play. I don't know if they make the tournament,
Yeah.
but I I think they might end up being a better team by the end of the year than Indiana is, if that makes sense. Like I think IU makes the tournament comfortably, and I think
Yep.
Washington ends up being just like one of those spoiler teams at the end of the year.
Fantastic. Yeah, I actually don't think any of the teams I mentioned are better than Indiana. I forgot to mention Wisconsin in this
No,
conversation.
actually, I don't think Washington's gonna be better than
Yeah, I
Indiana.
actually
I
don't.
just think
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I think Indiana's going to top all these teams as far as the Big Ten standings and making the tournament is concerned and doing well in the tournament.
Wisconsin's interesting.
I don't. I'm not. I think Indiana's better than Wisconsin this year. We'll see if that actually plays out. But
I'm not sure about that,
it's yeah. I
but
mean, man, I'll say though the margins in the league are very, very close once again,
there's like
wow,
12 teams in this league that can make
man,
the tournament, I
whew,
think.
it is loaded. Any final thoughts on this Monday, Matt? Indiana men's basketball 2-0 start. Tucker DeVries, Lamar Wilkerson running the show. Sam Alexis, Reed Bailey, Trent Sisley all stepping up. Tate Conaway doing his thing. Darian DeVries off and running. Any final thoughts here on this Monday?
Uh, what a time to be alive.
Woo, hoo, hoo.
Seriously. Between football and now basketball,
Man.
and I was told by some Michigan folks, by the way, because
Women's ball, volleyball, men's
women's volleyball.
soccer, field
I
hockey.
was
I
gonna get
mean,
to that
wow.
too. I was gonna get
Whew.
to that too. But between men's basketball and men's football, I was told it is impossible, and I quote, impossible to have good teams in both sports at the same time.
Whoops. Whoops.
Here's to that.
I saw that Urban Meyer, Billy Donovan picture floating around. These are the times, baby. These are the times. They are here. I got nothing else. Folks, thanks for joining us here for our 356 show, The Hoosier Sound. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your support. To hear more fantastic episodes like the one you heard today, be sure to follow us at Indiana HQ or at The Hoosier Sound to make sure you don't miss any in the future. You can also go to our website, indianahq.com, to find it all in one place. But as always, thank you for listening, Hoosier Nation, and we will see you next time.
Peace and love. Go Hoosiers.